Welcome to episode 15 of Travel Trailer Camping Journal, and I'm your host, Sam Butters. Today's episode will be part one of a multi-part series of my 2-year review of the 2020 Keystone Outback 260 UML travel trailer. This part will be specifically covering my first year of ownership and what I really didn't like about this travel trailer. Stay tuned. I've been planning for a new travel trailer up to that point for perhaps a couple years. And because of that, I purchased a 2016 Ram pickup truck, which would be able to tow over 10,000 pounds. After that, in January 2020, I purchased this travel trailer, the 2020 Keystone Outback 260 UML, mainly because it fit all my specifications. It had the layout that I wanted. It had a TV right in front of theater seating, and I've gone over more of that, in previous videos, so I won't belabor the point here. When I purchased that travel trailer, the dealership just slapped on the cheapest weight distribution kit it could probably find, and it had those old style swing bars with chains which you attached to the trailer tongue, and then you inserted them into the truck assembly. And by the way, this travel trailer right now, if you was to look it up, is going for $10,000 more than what I paid for it in January of 2020. That's how crazy the pandemic drove up prices of RVs and travel trailers. My first experiences with this travel trailer were quite different, just to say the least, from my older one. It was a much longer travel trailer, and I noticed that right when I drove off the lot with it, because I had to prepare for a much longer turning radius with it. And on the drive home, it was a slight white knuckle affair. I mean, intellectually, I knew up here that I was getting a bigger and longer and heavier travel trailer. But once I started driving it, that really hit home for me. And by the time I got home, I was glad that I did. My wife and I, about 3 weeks later, took a trip up to Lake Pleasant, Arizona, which is about 30 to 40 miles away from our house, to take it out on its maiden voyage. I was towing the travel trailer and my wife was driving behind me in her Jeep. On the way over to the campsite, I could feel my travel trailer swaying back and forth, and I was really struggling to keep it in line with my truck. So I pulled off the side of the road, and I did what the dealership told me with that friction, control sway bar that was adjusted along the way to straighten it out, so it wouldn't sway as much. My wife got out of her car, and she told me what she was seeing. And that was the back of my travel trailer going back and forth like that, and she was very concerned about it. My remaining trips of my first year of ownership were done by myself, and they were white knuckle affairs. I could feel my travel trailer swaying back and forth, and I would have to pull over the side of the road several times to adjust the friction control sway bar to try to keep it in line, but still, that wasn't 100% effective. By the time I reached my camping destination, my upper arms were sore as all hell. I wasn't liking this travel trailer so far. My hitching up experience with this new Outback travel trailer was quite different, to say the least. I soon determined that hitching up this new travel trailer to my truck was not the same easy exercise as it was for my old 2008 Fun Finder travel trailer. Precise and inline backing up my truck to underneath the hitch coupler was required. I no longer had any margin of error like I used to with the old Fun Finder travel trailer. For example, it would take several attempts to position my truck hitch ball to underneath the travel trailer's coupler. I never really had to do that before with my old travel trailer. Also, my old travel trailer had a weight distribution hitch system, which the swing arms were inserted horizontally into the pickup truck's hitch assembly. But the new setup for this new travel trailer was something different. I had to lift up from below these curved swing arms up into the hitch assembly, lock them into place, which was difficult to do. And you have to make sure that you do that really good, because you don't want your whole rig falling apart on you when you're traveling down the road. This was way too hard for me to hitch up my travel trailer, and then when you add in this friction control sway bar as well, the hitching up procedure was becoming quite frustrating for me. Many times during my first year of ownership, I could not unlock the coupler from the hitch ball while performing the unhitch procedure. It was just plain stuck. At the time, it appeared that if I would move my whole rig like 20 to 25 feet, I could then unlock the coupler. I didn't know why I had to do that, but I just chalked it up to having to be on a perfectly level surface. The true reasons of this behavior will be revealed in a future video in this series of videos of my 2-year review of the 2020 Keystone Outback 260 UML travel trailer. A couple of other times during my first year of ownership, I was unable to retract the tongue jack from the jack pads that were resting on the ground after I had removed the weight distribution hitch switch arms and friction sway control bar during the unhitch procedure. After I would fully retract the tongue jack, it would still be resting on the ground on top of the jack pads. This was totally unexplainable to me. The first time this happened, I had to seek out help from other campers in using their hydraulic jack to lift my RV tongue jack off the ground. I won't describe what I did the second time this happened, because it's a potentially dangerous and unsafe method to do so. So my conclusions regarding my difficulties with unhitching my then brand new RV from my truck was that I needed to be on perfectly level ground. Well, this actually was only partially true in retrospect, but I wouldn't discover the true reasons until the second year of ownership. I was starting not to like this new Keystone Outback 260 UML. The hitching procedure was taking twice as long as what I experienced with my old, smaller travel trailer. And the driving experience was a tiring one. The new travel trailer would be constantly swaying side to side even with the constant adjustments I would make along the journey. My arms would be wore out due to the efforts of keeping my rig in line. Most importantly, the unhitch procedure was very problematic. Due to what I described earlier, I had a great fear of not being able to unhitch my new RV from my truck. This actually happened one time during the first year of ownership. My wife and I had to keep the RV hitched up to my truck for the entire camping stay, on another trip with it to Lake Pleasant, Arizona. I did not like not being mobile on that camping stay, but we made the best of it. Later, I discussed this issue with my wife after 1 year of using this new RV. I was ready to trade it in for a smaller, more maneuverable one. She convinced me to give it another year and lower my sights for wilderness campsites, excuse the pun, which I could park this new RV in, which was also another major frustration for me. In part 2 of this series, I will go into what I did to make the towing, hitching, and unhitching experience much more workable for me, which in turn changed my outlook on keeping the 2020 Keystone Outback 260 UML travel trailer for perhaps many years to come. Stay tuned to that future video. Be safe, have fun. Goodbye.